Hi, I'm Kawaii Bree123, and I'm back with a review of episode 2 of The Extraordinary Attorney, Wu on Netflix. I just finished watching the episode. So this episode follows Attorney Wu on a case of a bride whose wedding dress slipped off at her wedding, and it caused the wedding to be called off. And her father is seeking compensation of 1 billion won from the hotel for damages. And of course, it's a greedy ask, but he's trying to get as much money as he can out of it. And so we see the team working this case. This episode was very good. I enjoyed it. Overall, it was funny. It had some touching moments. I'm really enjoying this show more than I actually thought I would. I shouldn't be surprised, but I don't know. For some reason, I'm surprised. I'm really enjoying it. This episode was really delightful and great to watch. It was nice to see the bride and the groom. It was just, they were children. They were letting all the adults in their life make all the decisions for them. And, you know, they kind of didn't have their voice. And you see Woo Young-woo struggling with the idea because, like, earlier in the episode, she was at her father's restaurant eating sushi, and he was saying that, you know, if you don't like it, you can make your own food. And she was complaining about the ham. So because of her being on the spectrum, you know, her father has taken care of her. But she's kind of wrestling with the idea of becoming a real grown-up, growing up, making her own food, you know, being independent truly. And so it coincided with the struggle of the bride in this episode. And so Woo Young-woo, I think, connected to her in that way. I really enjoyed seeing her talk to Junho about whales. That was really funny. That made me laugh. Just seeing her, like, this montage of her just calling him with random whale facts, and just seeing him try to set boundaries and just kind of wanting more from her, but her being completely unaware of it, which is totally, like, logical and makes sense that she would be unaware of it. So I'm interested to see how he's going to deal with his feelings or whatever is there, whatever's growing. I do wonder if he's gonna try to push for more, or if he's gonna just end up being like, well, she can't give me ultimately what I would want from her. I love the scene where she tried on the wedding dress. She was so beautiful. She took his breath away. She also took mine away. She was like, "Are you in love now?" And I was like, "I think I'm in love now." She was so beautiful. Of course, the actress who plays her is a beauty, but I really like the scene with her in the wedding dress and just like seeing his breath being taken away. She was really gorgeous. I definitely laughed at Attorney Choi having bubble guts the whole episode. She's sweating. We can all empathize with somebody going through the bubble guts, but it was so funny when she was on the toilet and the fireworks sound played. Overall, the case, I mean, the father was insufferable, but he seemed to be just kind of like a rich person who's just always out to figure out, you know, ways to get more money out of people. The case was good. It was a solid case, and I think it was a solid pick for what they wanted to explore with Woo Young-woo, which is like the idea of growing up and then becoming an adult. So I think it was a very appropriate case, and it was enjoyable in that way. This episode definitely had some moments that made you like kind of tear up. At the end of the episode, at the end of the case, when the daughter finally decided to stand up to her father, throw out, spoiler alert, she threw out the lawsuit. She stood up to her dad, and she like admitted that she was in love with her best friend who was female her whole life. She's been around her. It sounds like they've been together for 10 years and her father had never noticed. And she like stood up to him and declared her love for her.
결혼을 해야 된다면 언니랑 할 거야.
That part made me cry. I definitely teared up. Had a few little thug tears came out right there. It was amazing. I always like when Woo Young-woo says, "Wow." Wow, like it's so cute, but it really was an incredible moment, and admit how she feels. And seeing that that's who she was looking at the beginning of the episode, she was looking at her girlfriend, and that's when she just knew she couldn't do it. Another part that kind of got me a little choked up was at the end. They went out for a celebratory dinner. Woo Young-woo brought some food back home to her father, and she was talking about, you know, because she had been thinking about growing up, that when she walked down the aisle, she would want to hold the hand of the person she's married and not her dad, and she would would give him a bouquet because she would want him to get married and not be alone. And he was eating his little sushi roll, and he was just like, yeah, it was kind of cool because you could see him really chewing on it, literally, like it was like, chew on that. I think he realized his baby was growing up, like, you know, she's growing up, I'm alone. It was beautifully shot. I think he acted it out well because you could see him like really thinking about it. And like, as a parent, the idea of your kids growing up and not needing you, even when they're on the spectrum, I'm sure it's even more intense when they're on the spectrum, because you just kind of get in that mindset, I would think, that they're always going to need you. And I can see that her saying Woo Young Woo is spelled the same, forward is backwards, and then she lists off the other words. It's going to be an emotional trigger for me. I feel like if we get to the end and she's conquered all her things and like there's an emotional moment, I could totally see them ending out the show with her saying that and me just bawling. Like I'm only on episode 2, but when she said it, I was like, that's Woo Young Woo. Like, I'm cheering for her. I already feel a connection to that. And by the time I get to the end of the season, if that's going to be something that if they say it, it makes me cry. But I'm definitely enjoying this series. I'm actually going to watch episode 3 now. I'm glad Netflix recommended this to me, and I'm glad I gave it a chance because I'm really enjoying it. I know this drama blew up in Korea. I know a webtoon was inspired by it. I've seen fan art of this. I know it's loved by so many people. I know the season finale was like the most viewed K-drama. Like, it broke some record. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned. Make sure you're subscribed so that when I drop this episode 3 review, you can also catch that. I appreciate you. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to keep it cute. Bye. I got a question.